Alright, hey Abby. Alright, I had to go through this pretty quick because it takes me longer than I thought it would. Alright, so I picked him because he wasn't as well known, but he was pretty outrageous. Hadden Clark. Alright, he wasn't raised like in a typical serial killer, like stereotype way. He came from a wealthy family. His father was a chemical engineer who helped invent saran wrap. His mother was well liked in the community. They were both alcoholics, and they abused their 4 children emotionally and physically. Alright, so yeah, they were both alcoholics. The father used to beat him and call him retard. The mother used to dress him up in girls' clothes and call him Kristen often. So he developed a liking for cross-dressing, and his father used to pick on him and torture him for dressing like a girl when it wasn't really his fault. So, yeah, as a result of the abuse, O'Reilly's on. As a result of the abuse, the youngest child, the daughter, Allison, I think her name was, she ran away until they renounced her parents. The oldest child, Bradfield, he was incarcerated for murdering his girlfriend, chopping off her breasts, cutting it up into chunks, roasting it on a barbecue grill, and then consuming part of it. And there was only one normal kid, but it wasn't Hadden. Hadden used to run over kids with bikes. He was the bully. Extremely vindictive. That's one characteristic about him. He is extremely vindictive. He used to, when he got upset with somebody or someone made fun of him or something, or he just didn't like a person, in school he would go to the kid's house, find his pet, decapitate the pet, leave the head on the stoop for the kid and the family to find. Yeah, he didn't do well in high school, no friends. He decided to become a chef. So he went to the Culinary Institute of America, graduated from there, and immediately went to work in Cape Cod in Provincetown, P-Town, where it takes a lot to disturb people there. They're pretty accepting of everybody, except him, because in the kitchen he would drink beef blood. If he didn't like a customer, if someone came in and he just didn't like them, like the look of them, he would pee in the mashed potatoes.
Ew.
I forgot you were in here. Brittany. So, that was just if he didn't like them. So he had, like, cutlery skills, and this is when he began to use them. He actually found a young girl and cut her hands off and buried her in sand dunes. But he went from restaurant to restaurant, worked on a cruise ship, then he enlisted in the Navy as a cook. But in the Navy, he got his ass kicked constantly because he liked pretty panties and because he behaved erratically. So they're constantly beating his ass. He was hospitalized for it, and he was discharged as a paranoid schizophrenic because he was just diagnosed, because growing up he had been institutionalized but never diagnosed with that. I think diagnosing him with that was a cop-out, and you'll see why at the end. But, yeah, once he was discharged, he went to live with his normal brother, the normal kid, Jeff, but he had a criminal record then, assaulted his mother, trashed his brother's friend's car. But the last straw was when he masturbated in front of his niece, who was either 5, 6, or 7 at the time, Eliza, and she had called him a retard. And so when he was packing his stuff to leave, her little friend Michelle from the neighborhood came over in a little pink bathing suit frilly thing and asked if Eliza was there to play. And he goes, "Yeah, she's upstairs. Go in the house." When he grabbed his cutlery set, his knives, butchered her, ate her, committed acts of necrophilia and then eventually disposed of the body. But they blamed the father, the little girl's father, and he confessed because he was having emotional breakdown. So he worked odd jobs. He lived in his car. Then he was hired eventually. I feel like I'm skipping something. Nope, I'm just doing good on time. So eventually he was hired by Penny Hotley as a part-time gardener until he broke into her home at night with a .22 caliber rifle, went into her daughter Laura, who was I think a Harvard graduate. I think it was Harvard. Went in her bedroom with a rifle, dressed as a woman, wig, blouse, skirt, purse, shoes, like the whole getup. He was done up, and he woke her up and said, "Get out of my bed," and he made her admit that he was really her. He made her get undressed and bathe, and then he killed her. There was necrophilia going on, and he was immediately arrested because they found a bloody pillowcase that he kept as a trophy with his thumbprint on it, or any fingerprint. And that was pretty much it. So he went to prison, where he met somebody who we thought was Jesus because he looked like Jesus, so he made him swear in the Bible. But he could do me a huge favor. Can you plug my charger in?
Yep.
Thank you. And then hand me the thing because it's going to die in like 10 minutes.
Where's that?
Yeah. So, and then, because he thought he was Jesus, he...
Plug that in.
Thanks. He confessed to different murders, like over a dozen more, and he told the... Yep. He told the authorities that he would lead them to the bodies if they bought him women's clothing from Kmart. And before he was actually arrested for shoplifting women's clothing. Yeah, so he would go out in wig, skirt. He complained that the skirt was the wrong size and stuff, and then he led them out, and they didn't find any bodies that he claimed were there, but that was because, you know, it was like 10 years ago. But they did find a bucket of trophies he had. It was like over 300 pieces of jewelry and there was some from the girl Laura. There was like crystal unicorns, a bunch of women's jewelry. And, alright. So this is why I don't think he was a paranoid schizophrenic. He had told a psychiatrist, "I think I have a split personality. I don't like to hurt people, but I do things I'm not aware of." And if you asked him about the murders, he would say, Hadden Clark never murdered anybody. The ladies did. He had personas that he developed in prison. Kristen Bluefin, because he was called Kristen as a kid, and then her evil daughter, Nicole, who was 16. Yeah. And he said that they killed. But I highly doubt that, because he later went on to say people taste like veal, and then he said that he would go and kill his siblings if he had the chance. He also said, you know, like, "Oh, I don't remember that happened. I don't remember doing that." Because they did it. I didn't do it. But the acts of necrophilia indicate that it wasn't paranoid schizophrenia. And schizophrenia, you don't have to be a paranoid schizophrenic to have split personality. Like, it didn't fit. I think those were just excuses he was using. I mean, he did have like neurotic breaks in prison, and the Jesus guy was the only one who calmed him down. But I think it was a guise he was using. I don't think he really had personalities, because he was all too aware of it and all very concocted. And I think he just doesn't want to accept responsibility, because even with, if you asked him what compelled you to do this? Why'd you do this? He would tell you, oh, because my mother. I wouldn't have been like this, but my mother. Here's a little tidbit. They asked him, because of the cannibalism, do you know who Jeffrey Dahmer is? He replied, oh, bullshit. What's your favorite movie? The Silence of the Lambs? Yep. So, paranoid schizophrenic. He might have suffered some another form of psychosis, but wasn't split personalitis or paranoid schizophrenia, in my opinion. That was Hadden Clark.